Welcome back. This week, our election roadshow takes us to the city of Tshwane. It's one of the country's largest metros and one that will be fiercely contested come the local government elections. eNCA anchor Yuveka Rangappa is in the city's largest township, Soshanguve. Yuvi, I hear you're speaking to future leaders. What are they saying?
Yes, Shahan, I'm back on campus, and I tell you, after 20 years, things have changed quite a bit, and I think students are much braver than we were all that time ago. I do have with me three students. They are Zinhle, Titus, and Tembi. They are second-year journalism students. They have dabbled a bit in broadcast here within campus and also in some newspaper writing. They do interact with their communities, and we want to know, as students, what are the issues that are close to their hearts, and also what would they like to see happen in their communities in these local government elections. And guys, thanks for your time. We know you're busy students, so much to do. Local government elections, I'd like to know, are you interested? Zinhle, we'll start with you.
I am very excited to be part of this experience. As a first-time voter in the local elections, I feel that finally as a youth, I get to have a platform to voice out my views, also to choose the government that will lead us. Because before the rise of the Fees Must Fall campaign, I didn't know much about what local elections is about. But since then, I felt that, yeah, I finally have a platform where, you know, we get to choose who represents us as students, and also have people to be able to account to, especially politicians, to account for the constituencies that they promised to us as young people. So now it's their time, you know, to decide what
and your time.
And our time too, yes.
Titus, so, what do local government elections mean for you?
Well, it means a lot. You know, I'm really looking forward to make a difference in the up-and-coming local government elections because, you know, I've already registered to vote. And I just need to make a difference in a way that, you know, there are some things which I need the government to deliver. You know, as students, we do have some challenges like financial difficulties. So I think if I can vote, and, you know, obviously the party that I would maybe have voted, or the government that I would have put in power, will actually deliver, and everything, the service delivery will also include me as well.
Yes. And what about you, Tembi? What for you is most important about local government elections? You're going to be voting for the first time ever. I mean, these two have voted in elections before general elections. Yes. This is your first time voting ever.
Yes, Yuveka. And I'm very excited since it's my first time voting, and I'm not really sure what to expect, but I believe my vote will make a difference, and that is basically the essential of the votings. So I'm very excited, and I'll see what it has to bring for us.
Wonderful. I mean, such enthusiasm from you guys. And Zinhle, you spoke about Fees Must Fall. Yes. Were you guys active in that campaign last year? Were all of you part of it?
You know, obviously, you know, I was very active. Actually, I was, you know, leading the protest. You know, I went there at the Union Building. You know, we were holding the placards and everything, and we were actually looking forward to, you know, to have some of the issues being solved by, you know, the president. As you know, as students, we do come across problems like in our field. You know, our field is quite expensive, and, you know, some of our parents cannot afford the amount that the university requires. You know, so I think as being part of the protest has, you know, made a difference. And now I think some of the agreement that were reached during this campaign have a really good effect, because now some of the fees have indeed fallen.
Do you think it was a game changer for students and their role in politics and making a difference? I mean, we saw student uprisings during the apartheid era. It seemed to have been a resurgence of that kind of protest. Do you think it has changed the role of the youth?
Definitely it has, because now we're getting more engaged with politics and governance. We're getting to learn a lot more about what is happening around us and staying away. And now, since we get the chance to vote, yes, I feel like it is a game changer.
And for you, Tembi?
Yes, I'd like to agree with Zinhle what she says, because before the Fees Must Fall campaign, we're not aware that our youth was aware of the politics and governance, but with the campaign, that was made evident that the youth really is into politics and what is happening in our country.
Now, you guys are quite in tune with your communities. You do write stories now and then. You write for newspaper. The two of you write for radio and for television as well. Tembi, just from your interactions with your communities, also your families, What are the issues that are cropping up for them when, in this local government election? What are the things they are most worried about?
Well, I would like to refer that to what's currently happening right now in Soshanguve. The communities have grievances with dustbin services because in the beginning of the year they were given new dustbins, and then they paid a fee of 250. They thought it was a once-off fee, but now they have to pay it monthly, and now they are protesting that they cannot afford that amount.
All right, Titus, for you and dealing with the community, what's bothering them?
Well, you know, I last week I went to the nearest, you know, residence here by, you know, just 5 meters away from the campus. It's Block H extension. There was sort of a park which was being, you know, made there, and the park was actually anticipated by the community members because they didn't have a sort of a park whereby their kids can, you know, go and play and sort of have some relaxation. So that was one of their demands, and now they are happy because the park has been made. I don't know, maybe it's because we are facing we're towards the local government elections.
Zinhle?
To add on to what Titus said, I covered a story recently in my Melody, and the community's grievance is that now as we're approaching elections, you know, political parties are implementing stuff that are like innovative, as you mentioned, like the more parks are being built, the new housing projects that are being made.
In Mamelodi, a big one apparently.
A big one, yes. So now they feel that now that this is happening, their needs might be forgotten because they have more burning issues within communities, like issues of service delivery, health, housing, sanitation. So they feel that after these elections, once power is chosen, they will be forgotten and their needs will never be met.
What is the feeling among them? I mean, in terms of their political loyalty, do you think a lot of them are going to stick with the parties they've historically been voting for? Do you think what's the feeling you're getting? I don't want you to give away too many or get anyone in trouble, but are you getting the feeling that people are unsure of where their allegiance lies now with everything that is happening and the discontent we are seeing over the past couple of months?
I think that now with this rising standard of political activism, people are now starting to deviate from the old parties and into ones that they feel that could bring about change. And there are those who are loyal to their parties and will vote for them either way. Whatever happens, whatever the outcome, they will stick to what they know.
Have you noticed any changes?
Yes, just to add on what she just said, I mean, you know, with regard to what happened during the manifesto, you know, the biggest political parties in the country have already launched their manifesto, the DA, ANC and EFF. You know, we have seen a difference in terms of the attendance. You know, the EFF, you know, people really went there to support them. They filled up the stadium. But then from my point of view, that is not really the matter. You know, filling up the stadium doesn't necessarily mean that that party is going to be victorious, you know. So I think, yeah, there will be a slight change, you know, in terms of people voting a different party. I mean,
or considering it at least, so they're not so sure anymore.
Yes, they're not so sure anymore. And I think they must be registered in order for them to fill the ballot papers.
And
Yes.
Tendi, for you, have you noticed any shifts just talking to family and friends, people on campus?
Yes, I have, and I'd like to agree with Zinhle's first point where she says she feels that people are unsure and they feel they need to deviate from their current parties that they're currently voting for because they feel if they do not see the change currently, maybe voting for a different party will bring about the change they need.
You have quite an active political student life here. The parties are represented on campus. How does what's happening outside with the mother bodies, if I can call them that, reflect here on campus? And how do you all get along and how do you sort out your issues? I don't know if any of you are involved in those political student organizations, but just from what you've seen, is there a way that, like, we're asking them to work together? Are you seeing signs of that on campus? Is it a start here?
Well, I am not part of any political party, but what I've seen is that we're here to learn. So there's time for politics and time for learning. So when on campus, that's what we focus on. And there's time after classes and stuff, and whereby students get to become active in the respective parties. So that's when we get to see the differences, separations, and all of that.
Now, you guys are lucky. You have social media at your disposal, and that's allowing the game players to actually send out messages and reach their audiences. The impact of social media, what does it mean for you when it comes to something like local government elections and how it's being used?
Well, it's quite, you know, mobilizing the community in a huge way because people now are more aware about politics than before. They're actually actively participating in politics than ever before, because we have social media, we have YouTube. Like, for instance, if there's something happening in the parliament, that can be streamed live. People are, they can easily access that. And I think there were also awareness campaign which were running on TV, radio, which were promoting these, local government elections. So I think a number of people will be really interested in participating and making sure that they make a difference and their voice being heard.
And for you, Thembi, just being among students who are politically active, what's the feeling you're getting from students in general, and just in terms of what they want? What's going to make a difference for them this local government election?
Well, as you know, students, they want a lot of things.
Of course.
But I think most of the students, they want like better facilities in the varsity, because with, like you say, social media and new media, we're moving from traditional media to new media. So if we could get like projectors in the varsity, so that even not just in journalism, but all the faculties to also move with the new revolution of the transition from traditional media to new media.
Now, we're at TUT, and we know you've had your fair share of trouble here. And it was even before fees must fall. Things were quite disruptive. We saw damage, we saw vandalism as well. If you had, and now we're seeing other service delivery protests happening out in communities where schools are being damaged, and the things that people need are actually being damaged and taken away from the kids that need them. If you had to say one thing to those communities and the students here about reacting in that way, what would it be?
I would say that as young youth of South Africa and people at large, that we don't really have to resort to violence in such situation. We can engage and debate about these issues to find a way forward, because violence is really not an answer. It's instead breaking down the country and, causing more damage than we already have.
Mm-hmm. And Titus, you said you were very, very involved in Fees Must Fall. You led the protest. You didn't throw stones, did you?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Actually, it was non-violent.
Non-violent. So what would you say to them about how they get themselves noticed? Anybody who has an issue, whether it's here on campus or out in the townships?
Well, the message that I will convey to the people who are physically, expressing themselves in when maybe they need something, I would say no, they should stop, vandalizing properties, because that will result in some people being arrested, some being killed. And remember, South Africa, is a country where we should live in a harmony. You will remember the late President Nelson Mandela. He used to say that we just need to live in peace. We are one. We don't have to fight. So once we need something, let's find a good procedures to actually get what we want, not physically fighting. Like the situation that is happening down in Vuwani, it's so wrong, because you can't just ban school in order for you to get your own municipality. That is very, very
And
wrong.
even in Adele today, I don't know if you've heard the news, but pupils are not being allowed to go to school. I mean, what would you do if you were one of those students, Thembi? That your parents were keeping you at home and not allowing you to go to school because of an issue with a road, or whether it was the bins or whatever it was?
First of all, I'd like to say I'm grateful for the fact that I am attending school, because I believe education is an essential for every youth, and everybody deserves the chance to get an education. So I think I believe the community of Vuwani should just acknowledge that, and not because the buildings that they're busy burning down are the future of tomorrow, and they should realize that the youth is the future of this country, and we need that education. So they should not protest in this way, as Zinhle mentioned. They should do it in a peaceful manner.
Okay, well, the youth vote is what most political parties are gunning for, and I want to ask each of you, as a young person whose vote is going to count in a big way, if you could speak to political parties, if you had them face to face, what would you say to them? I would vote for you if what?
Wow. I would vote for you if I was talking to a political party. I would vote for you if basic services, because I believe in this community, and employment issues, because we are, like in Soshanguve, it is a very poor community, and it's because of employment and crime. And I think with regards, recently I've noticed that there are traffic cops around Soshanguve, and I believe we need more of that, because crime in this area is very high. And I think if they did more of that to reduce the crime in this community, I'd definitely vote for them.
Titus, I will vote for you if?
Only if, they can make sure that South Africa has adequate water, because in some rural areas, people are still struggling, they still, drink water which is contaminated. So I think if the people or the government or the government that I can put in power can promise me or can actually walk the talk and make sure that there is abundance of water supply in South Africa, and then really I will vote for them.
All right, Zinhle, I will vote for you.
I go for a party that strives for education, that is to bring about change in our current economic state. And also if the government that I'd be voting for would bring in more skills and development courses for people who are not able to go to school and fund themselves. And also the issue of funding in higher institutions of learning. Because I mean, free education is already implemented in lower, like high school and primary schools. So if that can further go on to higher institutions of learning, I'd be happy and I'd definitely give them my vote.
All right, Shahan, so that is why political parties are gunning for the youth vote. If you can hear the confidence, the strong views, these are the people who will be making their mark, and their vote is certainly going to count. Thank you very much, Zinhle, Titus and Tembi, for your time. Back to you.
Yuvi, I think you can actually fit in quite perfectly there, given that you look so youthful. All right, that was eNCA anchor Yuveka Rangappa. That's all the news I have for you now. Coming up after the break is Mags on Media. But first, here's your weather.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Weather Centre. There are two significant weather systems affecting the country today, both having an effect over the eastern parts. The first is a high pressure system that's ridging out into the Indian Ocean. It's pushing in moisture across the area, and at the same time there's an upper air low that's not visible on this map, and it's also destabilizing the atmosphere in the northern parts of the country. That's going to keep things fairly cloudy for today, also cooling things down and bringing in the possibility for a few showers and thunderstorms. The central parts of the country remaining partly cloudy but dry. We'll also see similar conditions for some areas in the Eastern Cape. But to the west of this, lots of sunshine for today, and that allows for further warming in the region. Let's take a look at the rainfall probability map for today. Isolated showers, maybe even a bit of thunder for some areas over Gauteng and the surrounding regions, all the way down into northern KwaZulu-Natal. And east of this, there's up to a 60% chance for showers for the eastern parts of Limpopo and Mpumalanga. Those areas also include Polokwane and Mbombela. Let's move ahead to the temperatures, and as expected, cooler for the northern parts. Gauteng remaining below 20 degrees, including some parts of the northwest. Polokwane also cold with a high of only 17. It's going to be a warmer day on the other hand for the Eastern Cape, where most areas get above 20 degrees this afternoon, while in KZN not too much changing, maybe about a degree of warming or so for the southern parts from yesterday. Along the east coast of the country, mostly light wind conditions. Southerlies for Durban, those are going to become easterly later on in the afternoon. Swell heights only getting to about 1.5 meters. And it's going to be a lovely day for the southern interior of the country, with many areas getting well into the mid-20s. Along the coastline, it will be somewhat cooler than that. Light winds have been forecast, so it should be an almost perfect day for this area as well. Crossing over into the Northern Cape, and it will also be warmer today for the province. We're expecting temperatures above 20 degrees, although Sutherland will remain cooler as usual with a high of 18. Towards the coastline, berg winds will be affecting Alexander Bay. Those will be fresh at first, but becoming lighter later on in the day. Lighter winds as you head further southwards. Cape Town, only 10 kilometers per hour, and along with that, 3-meter swells have been forecast for Table Bay and down the peninsula. Moving ahead to tomorrow, and it remains mostly cloudy for Polokwane and Mbombela, although we are expecting it to be dry. A bit of cloud for the Highveld. Elsewhere across the country, it will be mostly sunny, warm and dry.